Alright, number 14, I want to solve this polynomial. What we first want to do is move everything to one side and set this equal to 0. So we have 7y cubed plus 28y squared, and then that's equal to 35y. Okay, so we're going to subtract 35y from both sides. And I'll go ahead and write it out. And then once we subtract the 35y, that's going to go to 0. So on the right side we have 0. And all these variables are different exponents, so they're not like terms. We can't combine it. It's going to add it to the other side. So 7y cubed plus 28y squared, and then minus 35y. All of these terms we want to factor. Normally we have a square, single variable, and then no variable. But we have a variable in all of them, so we can factor out a common term. All of these numbers, 7, 28, and 35, are divisible by 7. And they all have a y, so I'm going to divide each term by 7y, or factor out a 7y. And then in parentheses, I'm going to write what I have left. So the 7 divided by 7 is 1. You have 3y's, take out 1, you have 2y's left, so y squared. 7, or 28 divided by 7 is 4, so plus 4. You had 2y's, we took out 1, so just 1y left. And then 35 divided by 7 is 5, because the minus is going to be negative 5. And we had 1y, we took 1y, so we have none left. So now this looks like quadratic, just like we've been working throughout the whole process. So we're going to factor this now. 1 times 5 gives us 5 factors of 5 are 1 and 4. We have to subtract to get 4, and that's, 1 and 5. I don't know why I wrote 1 and 4. 1 times 5 is 5. We've got to subtract to get 4, so 1 and 5 will subtract to give you 4. So we're going to leave that 7y outside, the two sets of parentheses. And then we're going to put a y in the front of both. At the back we're going to put our 1 and our 5. First sign is the bigger number. Second sign tells me they're different. We're going to set each factor equal to 0 and then solve. 7y equals 0, y minus 1 equals 0, and y plus 5 equals 0. So here you divide by 7 and you just get y equals 0. Here we would add 1 and get y equals 1. And here we would have to subtract 5, do the opposite, and that would give us y equals negative 5. So these will be our 3 zeros. 0, 1, and negative 5. Okay, so number 15. Now this one has 4 terms, so this is going to be a little bit different. X cubed plus 3x squared minus 16x minus 48 equals 0. Okay, whenever you have 4, we want to do a method of factoring called factor by grouping. And factor by grouping just means we're going to group 2 terms together and then these 2 terms together, and we're going to try to factor these and then see if the problem will factor. So the way this works, we're going to factor out what they have in common. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. The end result, whatever's left in parentheses, I want it to be the same on both terms, and that lets me know it factors. If it's not the same, then either I need to try something else or it won't factor. So both these terms have x in common. More importantly, they have 2 x's. So I can pull 2 x's from each of them. So I'm going to factor out an x squared. And then what we have left, if we pull two x's, we have 1 left, x. And then over here we pull the two x's, we just have the 3 left. Okay, so now, whenever I factor this, I'm hoping to have x plus 3 remaining. It may not be evident, but both of these numbers are divisible by 16, because I want it to be a 1. And if I just divide 16, it'll still be negative. So what I want to factor out is a negative 16 and change that sign so that it's positive. I'm going to factor out a negative 16 on both terms. So basically you're dividing by negative 16, and negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1, and we'll just have that x left. And then negative 48 divided by negative 16 is going to give us a positive 3. And see, there we have it. Both terms are the same. So I'm looking at this as a term and then this as a term. These two, what they have in common is the x plus 3. So now I'm going to factor out x plus 3. So once I pull x plus 3 from both of those, what we have left is the x squared minus 16, and that goes together. Alright, so at this point, we're done, or we can actually do one more thing. I can either set them both equal to 0 here, or I can notice that this is a difference of squares and factor this. X plus 3, and then difference of squares is going to give us x plus 4, x minus 4. And then when I set each of these equal to 0, x plus 3, x plus 4, and then x minus 4. And then we solve for x, we subtract 3, so we get x equals negative 3. Basically all your signs are going to be opposite when there's only one term. Subtract 4 is going to give you x equals negative 4. And then add 4, because it's negative, it's going to give you x equals positive 4. Negative 3, 4, and negative 4.